going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie. I know it hasn't been that long. I've been trying to bump out a bunch of content, and we got some exciting things lined up for Halloween between me dropping the EP, well, I'm going to be releasing one song off the EP, and also the Halloween podcast, where you guys are going to be hearing some stories from people throughout the MMA scene, whether they're journalists, fighters, CEOs, or owners of promotions. They have some crazy stories. So we're going to be dropping that Halloween morning as well on the YouTube channel, and then here on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, wherever you're tuning in, checking this out. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. We do this every week. And honestly, guys, iTunes has been on fire lately, but you know what would help a lot is all you got to do, leave a review, and that will help other listeners on iTunes find Pure Evil MMA that are listening to the same podcast that you are, the same shuffle. So I'd appreciate that a lot. If you do that, I will send you the logo for Pure Evil MMA. All you got to do is take a screenshot of your review. That's it. So follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Also on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA_. If you're messing on Facebook, which I'm not really a big fan of Facebook, but if you are on there, and I know there's a lot of people on there, you can follow the show at Pure Evil MMA S. Pure Evil MMA lowercase s. All right, so let's jump into today's episode. We got a very special guest joining us here today. As always, Janay Harding is going to be calling in just a minute. She is fighting for BELLATOR as a featherweight and just got a huge win over Conor McGregor's teammate, Kavanaugh. So Janay Harding is going to be calling in a minute. Guys, I'm really excited for this interview. It's kind of funny because when we set this interview up, I spoke with her after the fights, and she definitely shocked a lot of people, proved a lot of people wrong. She was a big underdog. So I had to get her on the podcast for you guys to share her story and what was going on that night. And she broke her phone. So we're going to have to bring that up. There's a lot we got to discuss. After the fight, she went to New York, Boston, all over the place, and then back to Australia. So let's get Janay Harding on the line right now.
Hey guys, it's Janay Harding, and you're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
So going over to Thailand, experiencing that, does it kind of lift a little bit of pressure going into fights? Like, obviously you're going to feel a little anxious before going into fights, but going through Thailand, experiencing that kind of pressure and stuff like that, you know, is it a little bit more relaxing now going into, you know, an actual fight, or do you still feel, you know, a little anxiety, which is obviously expected?
I think it definitely, any experience definitely helps. I mean, and then Thailand a little bit more so, because you go over, like, half the time you can't even really speak to anyone properly because nobody speaks the best English. You don't really know what's going on. Maybe they will change your opponent, like, 20 minutes before you go out to fight, which is pretty crazy, and then you're out the back getting warmed up next to your opponent. It's such a crazy experience. I mean, like, my last one, I didn't even know the guy who wrapped my hands. I'd never met this person in my life, but all of a sudden, like, my crew's friend that doesn't go to the gym or anything was wrapping my hands, and I was like, okay, whatever, we'll just get used to that. And the way they wrap hands is different, and so it is a very, like, foreign experience, and I think it's very different, which kind of, you kind of just relax because you're just like, anything that's going to happen is kind of going to be unexpected right now, but you just got to expect that it's going to work out. So, I mean, when you get to a promotion like Bellator where everything's organized to a T and it's amazingly set up and everything like that, you are a little bit calmer for sure because you've had that experience of the unexpected. So I think it's been a definite positive in my experience.
So did you actually know who Kavanaugh was before you had the contract, like, signed, like fighting for Bellator and stuff like that? Like, clearly, if you got a win over her, it was going to do so much for, this is obviously the biggest win of career. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I treat every fight as the most important fight of my career, and I mean, that's kind of how I've progressed anyway. But at the same time, this one was going to be a lot more pressure. It was kind of surprising that they put me up against someone like her. I don't know if it was like a last-minute decision or they were, I mean, our division's quite stacked, but in the same retrospect, a lot of the people are still on like a couple of fights or they don't have the experience that maybe I have in the people that they've fought. So I thought it was a really good fight for me. Obviously, coming in as an underdog was even better. I kind of enjoy that, and I enjoy that pressure. So I did know who she was, and I knew what this was going to do for me. And so, yeah, once I kind of got all my camp sorted, I just took it super seriously, and I knew what to focus on and what to improve on. And I also knew in myself that I could definitely win this fight, because I think styles win fights, and I'm hoping that I kind of showed that, even though it was a interesting kind of way to win and a little bit different to what I would have expected or kind of wanted. I would have definitely wanted to get the proper knockout or proper TKO, but it doesn't always go that way. But I'm hoping that I at least showed that my stand-up is where it needs to be, and that I'm a force to be reckoned with in the featherweight division.
So what were the responses that you were seeing after the fight? I mean, this was, like I said, this was such a big win for you. Social media nowadays, clearly your Instagram, you must have had a bunch of new followers from this. What was the reaction that you were seeing online?
Yeah, for sure. Online was massive. I think a lot of people were surprised. I had even some people were trolling me in the days leading up, so I thought that was pretty funny. And then they actually changed their mind after they saw the fight, which was kind of, I mean, you don't often have people admit that they were wrong, and a lot of people just thought I was going to get knocked out and she was just going to run through me. A lot of people that haven't seen my fights though as well, so it was kind of like uneducated opinions at the same time. And then even even at the event itself, as I was walking through at the back, even John McCarthy was like, I was surprised. He was like, he's like, I'm not going to lie to you, my commentary wasn't in your favor at the start of the round, but then by the end of it, I kind of realized that you were moving a lot better, and a lot of things changed. And I mean, we talked about the fact that it often takes me a little bit to warm up into a fight, which is not the best trait to have, but especially that last one that I had in May, I took a little bit to warm up, and that was super negative on the decision. So for this one, I really want to work on just coming out strong from the get-go and really moving around. And I think I surprised a lot of people by doing that. A lot of people within the Bellator team were very impressed by my performance and saying that I looked a lot better, and I showed a lot more skill than I have in my past fight.
So I actually heard a rumor that if she got past you, she was going to be given a title shot. Do you feel like she would have been ready for a title shot, or do you feel like that's the right direction for you? Where two-part question. Do you feel like she would have been ready, and where do you want to go next? Do you feel like you've definitely moved up, obviously, but where do you feel like you're next? Two-part question.
It's I mean, I heard that rumor too from Julia Budd was currently kind of just calling her out a little bit, and I mean that's fair enough. But at the same time, Julia doesn't have a lot of options to defend her title against, because we have this weird kind of limbo where Eileen keeps beating everyone, and then she's lost Julia twice, with that second one being controversial. But at the same time, not a lot of people want to see a trilogy until they've both kind of fought other people, and Julie hasn't really fought anyone other than the Brazilian girl since. So it's a bit like this weird limbo area where it's like, who else is Julia going to fight? Who does she obviously wants to stay active? She wants to keep defending her belt and progressing in her career, but it's either she kind of fights Arlene again, or kind of who else? I guess there's Amanda Bell, and there's a couple of other people in the division, but they haven't really done anything that kind of pushes them towards a title shot that you would expect. So I think Kavanaugh was probably the best option for her, for sure. I don't know if that necessarily means that she's the strongest option, but she's fought the right people, and she's won and lost to the right people, so it's kind of been good. But I personally don't think I'm ready for a title shot. I mean, when you look at my experience, I've only had 2 fights in Bellator, and all the rest of my fights have kind of been on the Australian scene and the Asian scene. So I would rather have maybe 1 or 2 more fights, and then for sure, I'd love to fight Julia. But when it comes to deserving a title shot, I don't think I'm deserving of it right now. So possibly in a couple more wins, I'll be in line a little bit better, and I'll be a little bit more deserving of that shot.
So after the fight, did you go back? How many times did you rewatch this fight that you had?
I've watched it. I think 3 or 4 times. It's kind of hard for me to watch it actually because I watched it a couple times in America, which was easy because I don't need a VPN. But when I'm back in Australia, I need a VPN to watch it. Then I have to find it on the Bellator website. But yeah, I have watched it like at least three times. And yeah, obviously there's always things to improve on, but I'm super stoked with my progression mainly from my May fight. I always know like what I spar like in the gym is a lot different to kind of what I fight like, and I think that's just ultimately comes down to experience and cage time, and that's what I'm just trying to get under my belt, and I'm really trying to get to the point where nothing phases me, and I'm just totally showing the pure skill that I have in the ring without hesitation and without nerves.
Well, Bellator definitely has a bunch of events upcoming. When are you trying to get back in there?
I am trying to get in there ASAP. They're saying to prepare maybe for like February, which is okay. That's kind of understandable. That's sort of what happens. Like, I mean, if you're spreading out my 5 fights over the 22 months, that's understandable. But I would love to fight as soon as possible. I mean, I'd love to get on the Hawaii card because that would be awesome.
I was going to ask you that.
Having a lot of Polynesians and a lot of guys behind me over there, and the card itself is amazing. But even if I get on the Michael Chandler one, either one of those would be great. But as well as the LA card on the 26th of January, and that's Ryan Bader again. My last 2 fights have been with him headlining, sorry. So it's like you would expect kind of maybe that would be a good time, but yeah, whatever comes. There's also Italy in December, but I think maybe that's a little bit too close. But I'd love to get on that card. But I'm pretty much just ready whenever I came out of this fight without any injuries, and I'm ready to get back in there as soon as possible.
So like I said, Mallory was in your corner. Does she have an upcoming fight? When do you think she's going to get back in there? Do you think we'll see her by the end of the year, or what do you think?
Yeah, she should be fighting in Japan. I think by now it should be like 6 weeks away or something like that. I forget the date, but her next fight was scheduled for Japan. So I'm hoping to see her in there soon. If that doesn't go ahead, then hopefully she gets something else lined up. The good thing about Invicta is that they do let you fight on other shows. They're kind of like an open contracted promotion, which is really cool. But she's on such a good momentum. I'd love to see that momentum continue on and her win streak keep going. And now she's back home in Denver. I'm looking to possibly do my camp nearby or like partly with her between a few people in Denver. So that would be really cool because she just has so much knowledge, and I think she's definitely one person to keep an eye out for.
Before we let you go, how did you celebrate this win? I mean, that's the most exciting part. You go through the struggle of going through the weight cuts, not eating. So how did you celebrate?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to that first night I finished my fight and I watched the fights, but then I went straight to sleep because I ended up being jet lagged like all week. I don't know if it was because it was the East Coast or whatever, but usually I don't really get jet lagged when I go to America. It's when I come back, which is kind of fine because you kind of like gain a day on the way there and then lose it on the way back. But yeah, I was so jet lagged, so I just ended up going to sleep that night. But the next day we were lucky enough to get a couple of tickets off Bellator for the Chelson and versus Bader fight, so we got to watch that, and that was awesome. And then I spent a weekend in between New York. I spent a couple of days in New York, and then I went did a little mini road trip up to Boston and through Rhode Island and stuff, and through Connecticut, because I don't really get to spend a lot of time actually enjoying America. I kind of just always kind of go there for business or for work. So it was really, really great to be able to enjoy New York and get to see everything, and that's how I celebrated it. Plus, my birthday was within my camp on the 28th, so it was like a week before the fight, so I got to finally celebrate my birthday as well, which was really, really fun.
And obviously, like, I'm following you on Instagram. Me and you have been talking since the night of the fight happened, a matter of fact. It seemed like you had a lot of fun, but this is a really serious question. Seriously. You might lose some fans depending on how you answer this. Did you like New York better or Boston better?
See, the thing is, we actually only spent maybe not even a full day in Boston. So we didn't even get to completely experience Boston. So I know there's a lot of stuff we missed. And what we did do in Boston was really fun. I mean, we had the Mike's cannoli. That was probably the highlight, not gonna lie. But New York was amazing. Out of the two, at the moment, from what I've experienced, I'd say New York, but that was only because we got to spend a lot more time in New York. I really love Brooklyn, out of all the places, because it's super creative. We got to do that cider thing. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Yeah.
It was so cool because, like, I'm not a mad wine drinker. I'm more of like, I mean, I guess I'm Australian, New Zealand, so I'm more of a beer drinker.
You don't do shoeies, do you? Do you do shoeies?
Oh, no. I'm not from Western Australia. I like Thai and that, but I watched Thai do shoeies in front of me, and that's about it.
Yeah, he beat my co-host. He had a fight with my co-host, James McSweeney. And now he's in the UFC. He's really representing Australia really well. I mean, Australia has a huge base right now. A lot of people. Would you like to see Bellator go to Australia at some point?
100%. I've already talked to Scott. I talked to him in May and was just kind of trying to push him bringing it over to Australia. I mean, I know I would love it. I'm sure Arlene would love it. And a lot of the guys, there's a lot of great fighters here in Australia that would love a quick shot on Bellator. And with we've got Adelaide coming up in December, but with the history of us having fight shows or UFC shows mainly here, it's been really successful. We had that Melbourne Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm. That was massive. We've had Rockhold versus Bisping. That was amazing. I went to that. We had Mark Hunt versus Bigfoot. That was
my God. That was a great fight. The first time they fought was in Australia.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had nothing but good fights here, so I would definitely say as much as I possibly can to get Bellator here. And there was ACB card has been coming to Brisbane as well, so a lot of people are really moving towards Australia, and it really builds up a lot more of the Australian fighters to know that they can make it on the international shows and that they won't have to travel too far to get a shot on these shows. So that'll be really, really cool.
Janay, I have to ask you, because me and you were supposed to do the interview, I think, like earlier last week, but you broke your phone. How did this happen?
I dropped it before I left to America. I didn't have time to fix it. And then when I was in America, I dropped it again. Still was okay. Like, I was just kind of green. I was like, okay, we're kind of getting by. And then I got back, and I was just carrying too much stuff out of the car, and I just dropped it again, and it was totally screwed. Like, I couldn't even touch the screen. I was doing everything by voice command. I had to, like, quickly take my SIM out, otherwise I'm not going to be able to, like, see any of the messages and stuff. But the worst thing about being from Australia is that getting my money, my purse from Bellator is so difficult because I have an Australian account, they're from America, and so checks and all that sort of stuff, they take like a long time to clear, and wiring takes a long time. So I still haven't actually got paid yet, but which is nobody's fault. It's just like the international transfers are what they are. So I'm still running around with like a couple of cracked screen phones, but hopefully my money comes in within the next couple of days and I can be back on track and back in the real world.
Janay's got two phones like Kevin Gates. Before we end this interview, it's such a big deal. It's almost 2020. Social media is on the rise. It seems like this day and age, not only do you need to go in there and win fights, but you also got to represent yourself on social media, look as good as you can, just promote yourself in a way. I mean, that's exactly what you got to do. You got to promote yourself this day and age. You got to win fights. Like, how are you enjoying Instagram? I mean, you have a great account on there. How are you enjoying it? And did you see a rise after a win? Did you see a lot of new followers, a lot of new fans?
Yeah, massive. I mean, I went from, I think, somewhere around the 7,000 to like the 11,000.
Yeah.
So
I saw that jump up quick.
Yeah, and that's the jump you want as well. Like, you want to be in those 10, 11,000, mainly for sponsors and to get taken a little bit more seriously and all that sort of stuff. So I enjoy Instagram. I mean, a lot of people use it in different ways. I just kind of try keep it as normal as possible and just keep it as real as possible. As much as I am all about kind of aesthetics when it comes to photos and good quality and stuff, I just try to keep my stories and and all that just as normal as possible. I'm not trying to like pimp myself out too much. I'm just trying to keep everyone involved in my personal life just enough so that they can understand who I am as a person and keep following my journey if they want to. So I think Instagram's a great tool specifically for fighters. We are all brands now, and we're all the CEO of our own entity. So you really have to work on that side as well as fighting and as well as being great at MMA. So yeah, it's a great like aspect of the fight game.
This is my very last question to you before we end this podcast. I have to ask, it's only right to ask, who do you think wins between Valentina Shevchenko and Joanna Jędrzejczyk? Who wins that fight? Because they fought previously in Muay Thai. Who do you think wins now?
They fought a few times in Muay Thai, and Valentina was successful in those ones. So I don't know. Like I think Valentina will be a little bit bigger as well, which will give her an advantage. And then I think Joanna's a great striker, but I just think Valentina's got a little bit more variety. Joanna throws that jab kind of repetitively and in different ways, but she uses that for a distance. So I think that would be a bit harder to do against Valentina because she's just got a little bit like she spins, and she does a whole lot of different stuff, and she's a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. So I would have to go Valentina for that one.
Also, since you're signed with Bellator is going to Hawaii. So who do you think wins that fight? You think Alina Malik-Farland, or do you think Julia Budd wins that fight? Who do you got there?
Valerie. I think Valerie Letourneau is a great fighter. I think that would probably be Alima's biggest test to date. It kind of just depends if it stays on the feet because Valerie has such good kickboxing.
It's trouble, yeah.
Yeah, and then Alima's got amazing jiu-jitsu. It's such a hard one. I think I'll have to go Alima mainly just for the Polynesian side of things, not necessarily. It could go either way. I think they both have a great chance of winning, but I'll have to be Team Alima for this one.
And what does it mean to you as a female fighter to see Bellator follow through with one of their big rising stars like McFarland? What does that mean to you as a female fighter?
I think it's amazing. I mean, they built her up really well. They did the Hawaii media kind of tour thing around there as well, which was really cool. It's just showing their professionalism and showing how they really invest in their fighters and building up their cards and everything. And they're just stepping up and up and up when it comes to their promotions. So I think it's great. And I think for me, it kind of shows that if I can be successful, they really look after you. And from what I've experienced so far, I really love the Bellator team and the Bellator family, so I'd love to stick with them if I can and see what happens.
Janay, this is really my last question to you. Do you ever think Ronda Rousey will ever return to MMA, whether it's in UFC, Bellator, Invicta? Do you ever think she'll return?
I kind of don't. I think she's accomplished what she wanted to. She accomplished so much before she even got to the UFC, so I mean, ever since she's been doing great things, and now she's in WWE, and that maybe where she wants to kind of stay and where she wants to progress. It really suits kind of her personality and her vibe and everything. So I think maybe that's probably like once she's finished with WWE, that's probably where she'll finish, and she gets to kind of probably settle down and just enjoy the fruits of what she's achieved in judo, the Olympics, and UFC and WWE. I think that's an amazing way to stop, and movies as well. So I mean, she's kind of like done a lot, and I think that's probably enough for her personally. You never know what's going to happen, but I doubt that she'll come back.
So last but not least, is anybody on your radar over at Bellator, or are you just kind of playing it by ear? Whoever they offer you, you'll kind of, look into and take?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty much just up to fight anyone. I mean, my last fight, I actually expected to fight someone like Amanda Bell. A lot of people on social media were kind of teeing up that fight as well. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind fighting her next. She'll be kind of in line for the caliber of opponent that I'll be expecting for my next bout. But really, whoever they give me, I'm happy to fight, and I'm kind of happy to go over and do it all again.
And at this point in the podcast, this is what we like to do. We like to hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If there's anything I missed, especially, make sure you give out your social media tags, sponsors, anything at all. The floor is now all yours.
Thank you very much. Just if you guys want to follow me on Instagram would be the best bet. So it's Janay Harding. Janay Harding, and then my Facebook athlete page is That's always a great thing to like. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm terrible at using Twitter so far, but the more people that follow me, I'm sure I'll get better. It's just Harding_Janay. And that's about it. I just want to thank everyone that helped me for that last fight, everyone in Sydney that got me prepared, and then Mallory and Alex that came over for that fight. It's been amazing, and I'm really happy to get that win and come back to Australia and enjoy it.
Hey, what kind of welcome did you get when you went back home?
Because I am in the Gold Coast at the moment, which is where I'm originally from. So yeah, I kind of just I got the welcome from my mum. She's been pretty stoked.
Yep.
She's not like she's gonna be negative about it. And then I got to see a lot of my friends and stuff. Everyone's really proud of me, and everyone's not necessarily surprised, but they're all really happy that I've finally achieved what I set out to achieve, and I'm on the way up, and I'm getting this momentum.
And really quick, did you connect with Kavanaugh after the fights that you had? Or did you leave off?
Not really. I was on. My friend told me that she posted something on Instagram, so I had a quick look, and yeah, I think she thought that my win came from luck. So there's a little bit of mini banter there, and so I just I'm happy to fight her again. I think ultimately it would be better if we both fought other people and then came back for a rematch, because I don't think fighting the same person back to back really makes much sense. But I'm up for whatever, and I'm definitely not afraid of a rematch. That would be awesome for me to really get to kind of redeem that win and make it a little bit more impressive. But yeah, I haven't really connected. Usually I do. Usually I'm a pretty friendly person. I'm pretty chilled out.
Yeah, you seem it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to kind of have a little bit of negative vibes towards a win and a loss. So, but that is what it is. Some people are like that, and I'm sure it's not. I know firsthand it's not nice to lose. So, that's fair enough. If she wants to, you never know. I'm happy to kind of feed the banter. If you just want to hype a fight, then that's cool. You got to do that every now and again, and I'm not afraid for a rematch, so might as well. And I'd love to get on that Hawaii card, like I said. So if I can kind of use that name to bump me into the Hawaii card, that would be even better. So yeah, it's all just that's the fight game, and I'll probably end up fighting her again. I'm sure the way that fight ended, you can expect probably a rematch, especially if we both end up winning our next fight. So that'd be awesome. Either way.
Janay, I want to thank you so much for coming here on Pure Evil MMA, sharing your story. We got to get you back on. This story is in the making between you and Mallory. There's so many female fighters out there right now that I'm so interested in watching them blossom. And right now, you guys are blossoming. This was such a huge win for you. I had to have you on the show. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I was going to try till the death of me to get you on because this was just so huge. And I'm so happy that we can see you go in there, prove everybody wrong, and move on with Bellator, which is such a great promotion for the females right now. It's very exciting for the females. So thank you so much, Janay, for joining us. Thank you, Janay. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, perfect. See ya.
There you go, guys. Janay Harding joining us on Pure Evil MMA. What an amazing win. I was right there cage side watching that entire fight. I actually scored the first round for Janay. It was so exciting. I can't wait to see how the rest of the roster plays out here for Bellator. They got so many girls that they're looking into or have signed recently. Even them just going to Hawaii for McFarland is just so huge. I love the investment there. I'm looking forward to see what happens next. So make sure you guys tune into the next episode of Pure Evil MMA. I'm Evil Eddie. White knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.